There's been a lot of optimism throughout the convention about electing in a Republican administration in November. We sat down with House Ag Committee Chair G.T. Thompson and Senate Ag Committee Ranking Member John Boozman to get their perspective on the Republican platform and issues facing agriculture.
I'm still hopeful that we'll pass the Farm Bill so that we have the implementation, we give that to the Trump administration whenever they come into office, because I have confidence in, the execution, the administration that the Trump administration will do. And it will be important, right? Agriculture needs to be a priority. It is the number one industry in the country, and quite frankly, what it contributes to the economy and jobs and everything else. And so that's my goal. I'm still holding out hope that we'll finish what they say can't be done. I'm going to get this thing passed hopefully in September out of the House, and then we'll work through the end of this congressional cycle to get something to the current president's desk, and we'll make that a gift for President Trump so he can execute what will be a great farm bill.
I think that a Trump presidency and the House and the Senate in Republicans' hands would be really good for the farmers, really good for the farm community and rural America. Very importantly, I think he showed in his when he was president last that he has a great heart for the farm community. He understands the importance of rural America, and we look forward to policies that strengthen rural America. 53% of our counties lost population last census, so they're moving in the wrong direction. And that's why the Farm Bill and good policy is so important. As GT said, though, we're continuing to work hard to actually get this Farm Bill done this Congress.
J.D. Vance has been a big proponent of using tariffs to protect U.S. industries, and ag groups have told us this week that they're concerned about a trade war. Are you concerned about that?
J.D. Vance, I'm excited about him as vice president. He's very supportive of agriculture. He's been recognized by the Ohio Farm Bureau. That's usually a pretty good sign. And so I think one of the roles that I believe that we have is oversight in both the House and the Senate with whoever's in the White House, and I plan on doing this with the Trump 47, is to make sure that the Agriculture Committee is at the table, that we're representing the voices of the American farmer when it comes to trade. Who are the bad actors who are not fulfilling their agreements they're supposed to do, and quite frankly, what are the new markets that for specific commodities we should be looking at? I think we have an important role that we need to fulfill.
And Senator Boozman, if there are tariffs, can farmers be assured that the administration will provide a bailout?
I think that the administration is going to do a great job for farmers, a great job for rural America. The Biden administration has done a very, very poor job with trade. You look at the last 2 years, we've running these huge trade imbalances in agriculture. For the first time since anybody can remember, we always have a big ag surplus, predicted to have an even bigger one in the future. So no. And then also, President Biden actually kept the tariffs in place. What I want from President Trump, and I think he'll be very willing, is to make sure that whatever deals that we have or create are fair, that we don't have dumping, both sides play by the rules. And tariffs are used as an enforcement tool for that. But I'm encouraged, and I think GT and I have both put our money where our mouth is. We've doubled, in my framework, in his bill, we actually doubled the tools that we give to farmers to make trade agreements, which are so very important to agriculture.
And trade is incredibly important. It is one of many tools where we make agriculture great again.
Farmers and ranchers this week have been telling us that they would like reduced regulations on agriculture production. Where do you think a Trump-Vance administration would make the most difference in the space of ag regulations?
Well, I think, a new EPA, the Chevron case is so important, and that was due to President Trump, putting conservative members on the Supreme Court that instead of writing law, or interpret the law. So now we have it such that this is going to put I think a real damper on the ability of the regulators just to come up with stuff that they arbitrarily want to do. So There's lots of things that I think are important in that regard, but no. The one thing that is such a problem is you can play with bad rules, you can play with good rules. If you know what the rules are, it freezes you. And right now we have an administration that is churning out rule after rule as fast as they can, with no really investigation as far as the unintended consequences and things. So, I think a Trump presidency will be very, very important with reducing rulemaking, which is so important.
We know that we can do a better job and be more effective when we do it in a collaborative way versus a punitive way that this current EPA is doing. This current EPA, to me, is not the Environmental Protection Agency. It's the Excessive Punishment Agency. It's all been punitive. We've seen that most recently, what they've done with some of the effluents off of our farms, the new regulations they put in place. There's no collaboration. There's no understanding of the unintended consequences that occur. We need to go back to an EPA that, certainly provides the lead for protecting our environment, but doing it in a way that is, quite frankly, is collaborative. I would say that do it in a way that's consistent with how we do our conservation programs, voluntary, locally led, and incentive-based.
The Republican Party this week has been especially vocal about immigration and border security, and J.D. Vance in particular has been especially vocal about that. Where do you think the Trump-Vance administration would make the most difference in the area of immigration?
We've already had a great start on that in the House. I took the liberty of using the rules of the 118th Congress, which allows me to have 6 subcommittees, but a task force additionally. And I formed that task force, now it's been at least a year ago, and for 9 months that task force, and we did it in a way that I really wanted results, not a press release. And so we've got a great start on a list of bipartisan ideas. It's not about citizenship. This is about, legal foreign workers, and it's been well embraced by the agriculture industry. It'd be nice to get this farm bill out of the way because that's something I'd like to be able to move on. We're not going to do that legislation through our committee. That will be Judiciary Committee in the House. But I'm looking forward to writing that legislation and getting advanced. And I think the way we've done it, we'll have tripartisan support, Republicans, Democrats, and quite frankly, the American agriculture industry behind whatever initiative we put forward.
How could a Republican administration and a Republican Congress change both the timeline of passage for the Farm Bill and what's included in it?
I was recently in Baton Rouge with Senator Cassidy, and I probably, in our farm listening session, probably half the time was spent talking about labor and the difficulties. The H-2A program is a good program, but it doesn't work in the sense that it's difficult to do. Without it, though, right now, farm labor would just collapse. It's difficult for any industry in America to get the labor needs that they want, but when you're talking about picking crops, working in those areas, construction, it's very, very difficult. So H-2A is a good program. The administration has made it very, very hard. They don't like the program because the unions don't like the programs. The unions want to organize all of the farm labor. So I think there's a lot of things that we can do to reform some of these programs that will make them a lot more user-friendly, a lot more cost-effective, so that our farmers can continue to be competitive. The labor is certainly something that we got to get figured out. If not, we have a situation where if you listen to farmers out in the field, it's the difference in being able to operate and not operate.